The first known rules of golf were drawn up in 1744 by the Gentlemen Golfers of Edinburgh in Leith, Scotland. Since then the game has changed dramatically. Golf courses, equipment, and not least the rules. So where do I go when I want to learn about the rules of the game today? Well, I go to the Golf Rules Questions podcast with Blakey and Roscoe, of course. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of the Golf Rules Questions podcast. Well, of course, old Tom Morris would go to the Golf Rules Questions podcast if he wanted information about the rules of golf and how the byplay between the rules of golf, the PGA Tour, the Ladies Tour, all work in sync and provide us the information that allows us to talk to you every week about the rules of golf. Once again, Roscoe here, your co-host, amiably joined by the man in some, he's adorned in some fine, I'm looking at him on the Zoom screen here, and he's adorned in some fine apparel. He's got a logoed jumper on, a logoed hat on. He's corporatized, he's merchandised up. Blakey, how are you?
Yeah, going well, Roscoe. Need to apologise firstly to our listeners that we didn't get an episode out last week. I've just been fairly busy on the home front, actually.
On the home front? Oh, you had some travel in there, didn't you? Did you not? You've got a little bit of... Did you do some golf-related travel, Blakey?
Yeah, actually had a couple of trips last week. Henry Peters from Under the Card and I went to the Alpine region of Victoria. So we went to Myrtleford Golf Club, Bright Golf Club and Mount Beauty Golf Club and did some filming there, some content creation, as including rules of golf stuff. So that was fantastic. And then on the weekend just gone, I had a trip with a few of my friends. There was about 8 of us. And then we went and played golf on Saturday in an Ambrose competition, 2 teams of 4 against each other, pitted against each other with some beginner golfers in there. And it was a fantastic time. We called it a golf trip, but it was probably less about the golf and more about just drinking, eating and catching up with one another.
Where did you play? Where was that trip to?
That trip was Nyanga Park. So we went and stayed in Bendigo. It's about an hour and a half north of Melbourne. Went and stayed there and played Nyanga Park on the Saturday. And then whilst everyone else, or five of the guys went home on the Sunday around lunchtime, 3 of us went and played Castlemaine Golf Club on the Sunday after having brunch at Das Coffee House in Castlemaine, bit of a German restaurant or themed restaurant there.
Called Das Coffee House?
Yeah.
Coffee or cafe?
Cafe, sorry.
Das Cafe House. Das Cafe House. The coffee house in England, obviously clearly translated. Well, that sounds like a nice little venture into, continuing the, I guess what was our commitment level to the country courses of Victoria? What did we say that we would get to? How many followers on the YouTube did you say you would, subscribers, sorry, did you say you would get to?
I think I said 5,000, didn't I?
Jeepers, you surpassed that.
I'm 8,500 now.
What was Tasmania? What was the Tasmania?
10,000 for Tassie.
Okay, 10,000 was Tassie. Okay, so you've made the commitment and you're continuing the commitment to Country Vic. I've started that and you've followed on, so that's very good. And the next level is Tassie.
10,000 for Tassie and 20,000 for New Zealand. Actually, speaking of Tassie, our good friend Stuart is actually playing at Barnbougle and Lost Farm and the new one this week. He's playing about 100 holes, 108 holes or whatever it is, whatever it adds up to this week with a group of his friends. So he sent me a couple of photos yesterday. They looked, the weather was looking a lot better than it was in Melbourne, I'll tell you that.
Well, it is so busy down there. Let me tell you, I just met with John Perrott from Air Adventure this morning and we were talking about how busy that little business is in terms of flying people down to Barnbougle and also Cape Wickham. I was down there because that was a bit of a thing for us the other week. We talked about that I had to go to Tasmania before doing it with you. Every man and their dog.
So have you been to King Island as well?
Yeah, a few years ago now. I did that once again with Air Adventure. Went in the commercial jet type thing that flies above and around the air. It can fly in the weather, which, Bass Strait is known for weather. Air Adventure planes are fully pressurised, so they can go up and above and around the weather as opposed to getting affected by weather. Really, really was a comfortable journey. But King Island is that's part of Tasmania, Blakey. So that could be on the 10,000 YouTube subscriber hit list.
So I see Cape Wickham's 21 in the world. Where would you place Ocean Dunes if Cape Wickham is 21st?
This is an interesting question, which I get asked a lot when I get asked to reflect on that King Island experience, because I really enjoyed Ocean Dunes. I'd need to go back. I definitely need to go back to follow up on some of my commitments with Golf Australia magazine, their top 100 sort of panelist list that I'm a part of. But I need to go back, so that's why I'm sort of so pressing on you getting to 10,000 so we can jump on that, and I've got a legitimate sort of commitment excuse to go to. So I want to go and see Ocean Dunes again because I really enjoyed it. Now, I think the fact that I really enjoyed it was born by the fact that I played pretty well there that day. I think I might have bogeyed the last by 3 putting for like 1 or 2 over, which was pretty good given the conditions. For me, it just reminded me of being deep in some of the Irish links courses that I've played. I did like Cape Wickham. There was something about the day on Cape Wickham that sort of threw me off a little bit. Maybe it was, I don't know who I was playing with or something like that. I think the boys I was playing with were only really there to get drunk, and I was there to sort of enjoy the course. So that sort of threw me a bit. I did enjoy it. Like, they're both magnificent courses, but I want to go back and just, I think the majority of people that I speak to clearly rate Cape Wickham well in excess of Ocean Dunes, and the various sort of commentary that you see around it would do the same. I just know that I really enjoyed Ocean Dunes, as I did, talking about Barnbougle for a second, continuing that, as I did Lost Farm. I played one of the, we played 40 holes in that day. The first round, which was the second round of that trip, I played Lost Farm and probably had a couple over, eagled the 9th and had the first birdie of the trip amongst the boys, and I played pretty well for the majority of it. But I probably prefer Dunes. That is more my sort of fun. I probably wouldn't want to play there every day, every week, or as a member. But as a golf experience, Barnbougle Dunes for me is, you can put that course in any part of the British Isles. Whether what you fancy is West Coast Scotland, West Coast Ireland, whatever, and it'd fit right in amongst the top echelon there. Absolutely.
So I was looking at you mentioned the Golf Australia magazine list. I was looking at the Golf Digest list.
Yep.
And it had Tara Edie as number 2, and they were thinking that it may get to number 1 next year, taking down Royal County Downs. So, if we go to New Zealand, we definitely want to try and get to Tara Edie. I mean, there's a few courses in New Zealand on the list. Cape Kidnappers, Carry Cliffs, Kinloch. Have you ever played at Kinloch?
I've never played golf in New Zealand. My brother has. No. He went as a junior to play on this some level of organised event and activity exchange type program between Australia and New Zealand. I never played. I've been into Queenstown twice, and you could take me back there any day. It's sort of like up there with Lahinch. I sort of not jokingly, I seriously say to Lahinch, or about Lahinch, people say, where would you go tomorrow to play golf? And I say, just drop me at Lahinch and leave me there for forever, and I'll be very happy. Queenstown and that area of Otago, your homeland, that is your heartland. That's where that's close to you. That's beautiful. I love it. I could go there tomorrow and stay for a very long time. Maybe not forever, but I could stay for a very long time, Blakey.
I used to go to school in Wanaka, so I was at 1 year, I think it was my last year of school, I played at Wanaka Golf Club. I was there over 300 days of that year. So you can tell that I didn't really do too well at school.
What a town, Wanaka. Oh.
Yeah, amazing.
It's not for this podcast because we need to get into the golf rules, but I was there when we launched the Infinity car brand, and we took the cars to New Zealand because we didn't have approval to run them in Australia through our ADR laws. And I hope you enjoy this. I'm going to tell the story anyway. But I was in Queenstown for a week, and we're basically driving Infinity, luxury Japanese vehicles from Queenstown across the Crown Range to Wanaka through the snow. It was winter, but the roads were passable. Down to Wanaka, down through Cromwell, back through Cromwell, back up to Wanaka. There's a restaurant and a winery there. As you get into Wanaka from the Crown Range, you turn left. There's a big hotel and a complex, and a little bit further on, there's another really nice sort of restaurant which we had access to, looking out over Wanaka Bay out to Treble Cone. And after that, a helicopter would come in. This is how you launch cars, Blakey. You don't do it by halves. 3 helicopters would come in and land there on the thing and pick us up, and then fly us over the mountains past Treble Cone to Paradise, which is the other side of Queenstown, up the other end of Lake Wakatipu. And we would drive the cars back to Queenstown. Did that for a week. Blakey. It was tough.
Was that Glenorchy? Because I think they've got a golf course there too.
Paradise is just past Glenorchy. It's basically the end of the road where the glacial flow comes into the top end of Lake Wakatipu there. Those typical sort of glacial sort of creeks that you see with the white shaly rocks, and we literally just parked the helicopters in the cow paddocks and jumped into the cars, which is essentially the end of that road, and just drove them back.
That's actually, I went on a school camp there, so I know exactly where you are.
Well, it's where they filmed
Middle Earth.
Yeah, in the forest there, the Lord of the Rings type stuff there. If you walk through there, you can see the scenes that. So take me back there any day, Blakey. So is that 10,000? Is that a hit? 20? Is it 20,000?
20,000 for New Zealand. But we're probably going to lose a few listeners if we keep blabbing on about playing golf instead of golf rules.
Yeah, but if you're a Tourism New Zealand or Golf New Zealand or whatever it is that whoever runs it, and you listen to it, we're doing a fair promotional job here for New Zealand. So just jump on and subscribe to Blakey's YouTube thing and help us get across there with these, handy cam and a Bluetooth mic and see how we go.
I got a new phone / the best camera on the market, the Samsung Galaxy Ultra 5G thing that's basically exactly the same as yours. And it's pretty amazing. Like I was zooming in on the moon the other day. I could actually see the guy up there walking around.
Playing golf. Neil Armstrong's still up there having a chip and putt. Now we're getting silly.
At 1.2 Ks.
Blakey, I can't wait to get to New Zealand. I might have to negotiate. Tasmania going again would be an easier negotiation with Mrs. My Love of Golf to get that. New Zealand, she might have to come with us, Blakey.
She's welcome to.
Yeah. Is there a spare room at the Blakedom, Chateau Blake?
Yeah, they were thinking about downgrading me to a smaller place, but I said, no, just hold on to that 4-bedroom house for a little while longer.
Dunedin, what a beautiful town. Small Edinburgh, Dunedin.
They're in Geraldine, but it's not too far away.
How far's Geraldine outside of Dunedin?
3.5 hours.
Oh, really? Oh, so right, it's just up towards Christchurch.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, okay. I didn't go that far up. Okay, well, we've relived some travel exponences. There's an over there. Someone will pick us up on that. But there you go. Thanks for joining us for 13 minutes in about talking about New Zealand. We want to get to New Zealand, so jump onto the YouTube thing and subscribe. Now, last week's golf rules question of the week. It was a fairly simple one, but I'm sure it caught a few people out, Blakey. Is there a penalty, and how many strokes if you search for your ball for 5 minutes and can't find it? Is there a penalty, and how many if you search for your ball for 5 minutes and can't find it?
So obviously there's a penalty under Rule 18.2 for not finding your ball. So you're going to have to go back to your previous place played and put another one into play. So there's 1 stroke penalty. And then because you've unreasonably delayed play, you're going to get another 1 stroke penalty under Rule 5.6. So you're going to, say if it was your tee shot, now you'll be hitting your 4th. That's basically the answer. People go, oh, well, no one's going to put in that 1 stroke penalty for unreasonable delay. Well, when it gets to 3 minutes, doesn't matter if you find your ball or not. It's lost. So you've got to go back to your previous place played.
So that would include what happens then. So you've looked for 3 minutes, you're on the way back to the tee, and then someone says, hey, it's up here. I've found it. Too late.
Yeah, too late.
Mm.
It's a similar situation to if you're looking in and around a penalty area and you've got at least 95% virtual certainty that it's in the penalty area. You're just trying to find it so that you might be able to play it and save a shot. But then you go, okay, it's 3 minutes. I'm not going to find it. You drop your ball and then they find it outside the penalty area. Well, it doesn't matter because you already had at least 95% virtual certainty that your ball was in the penalty area. So you are permitted to proceed under Rule 17.1. So, it doesn't matter if you found it after that.
How many times do you reckon in a just normal sort of everyday club comp in that situation that I've articulated there that people would go back and play their ball?
70%. I reckon 70% would do the wrong thing.
Mm. Yeah, it's an interesting one because I reckon I might have seen sort of that thing happen in the past, and you get into that awkward situation. Well, I think it was for more than 3 minutes, but anyway, it's 3 minutes, guys. There you go. Now, we've got some videos to play. We've got some videos, one of you, and then we've got some videos from some recent tour events, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
So let's go to the video of you first. Now, I'll just set it up. So Blakey changes from right hands and gains free relief. We'll play it, and then you can come back and give us a commentary on that, right?
Go for it.
What about if... Oh, that's good. I can play it like this, but, you know, I was going to play it left-handed, so is this reasonable? Well, it is reasonable because playing left-handed wasn't actually a shot that I could actually play, and playing right-handed actually works a lot better. So now I have interference from this cart path in which I can take free relief. So I'm just going to work out my nearest point of relief. So where I'm not standing on the path. Now I've got this tree in my way, so it's a little bit difficult, but let's say, because I'm not getting relief from the tree, it's just from the path.
Interesting situation that you had yourself in there. So changes to right-handed. Did you approach that video as if you were a left-handed golfer, yeah?
Yeah, spot on. I approached the ball with a left-handed club, showing that I was a left-handed player, and then I worked out that was not actually a great way to play it, and I had a right-handed club in my bag, and that was going to be an easier way to play it. Then had interference from the immovable obstruction, the cart path. Now, it's just a little snippet, and you can go over to YouTube and check it out. Now, it's a good video. Henry and I filmed it at Box Hill Golf Club, and it's a similar one to one that I filmed a couple of years ago with Marcella from Girlfriend's Guide to Golf. In that one, we showed what an unreasonable stroke is, and even if you changed to left-handed or right-handed or made your stance wider or whatever, you weren't going to get free relief because it would have been an unreasonable stroke. Whereas this one, it is a reasonable stroke, and then you're taking relief from the cart path, not from the difficult situation of the tree. But luckily, I was able to drop it, and then I could decide whether I was going to play right-handed or left-handed once I'd put the ball back into play.
So you could get then relief on the other side of the tree if you look at the video and then play it left-handed, yeah? In that example, yeah.
Spot on. I could have played it right-handed, left-handed. I could have changed clubs. I'd gotten my ball away from the condition that I was taking the free relief from, and the ball was back in play.
If you don't have a right-handed club, if you're a left-hander and don't have a right-handed club, or vice versa, if it was a sort of reverse situation, and you've got the ability to flip the club and play it that way?
Yeah, absolutely. And in the other video that I described with Marcella, I actually state, it can depend on your skill level. Like if you flipped your club and decided to try and play left-handed, I would say personally that you could probably 80%, 85% of the time at least get bat on ball. Whereas maybe a 40 handicapper never tried that shot. Are they going to be able to do it first thing? Probably not.
Yeah, right. Interesting. Can you play the left-handed? If I went left-handed, could I play it with the back of my club?
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
You just got to hit it with the club head, not the shaft or the grip.
Yep. Okay, so you could... So who decides if you don't have the skill efficacy to permit the taking of relief under that situation?
Well, number one, you as the player need to decide.
Mm-hmm.
And then number two, your marker has to also agree with that because they're signing the scorecard. The opponent in a match play situation could disagree and could claim the hole if you played from you take relief and played from a wrong place. But in just keeping it to stroke play, the marker would have to be in agreement that that was a reasonable stroke for you. If they get a referee in, then the referee also has to make that decision, and they're probably going to be less lenient. But we did see one a few months back with Nick Taylor from Canada. He was able to ask the referee, and the referee was very lenient in giving him relief for possible left-handed stroke. Nick is right-handed.
It's sort of like the 3-minute scenario before, where you're walking back and you know that it's past 3 minutes and someone says, mate, I found your ball, and you trot back up there. You know that it's not right and you shouldn't be doing it. Same here. If you know that you're not going to, be able to commit that shot effectively with the opposite side, you shouldn't really be taking, getting access to the free relief. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, golf is quite subjective, but it's all about your intentions, honesty, and integrity. I get a lot of comments on YouTube, and we talked about this last week, so I don't want to harp on about it, but I get a lot of comments about, I don't worry about the rules. I'm just there to have fun. Well, some people enjoy the rules and playing by the rules because that is the game of golf. That is the standards that we set for ourselves. And the fun is trying to play by the same set of standards each time you play and beat your personal best, or even just beat the opponent or your other players in a kind of have a bit of a bet or something like that, side bet.
Okay, well, let's move on to the next video. We've got Patrick Cantlay involved in here, and once again, another scenario that we've spoken about before, but let's play this video and just see what happens as opposed to as out of this one.
To Garcia.
Yeah, Patrick Cantlay is definitely away. It looks like Sergio's going to go first here.
Surely not. That would be surprising to me.
It's Patrick.
Yeah, I agree with you guys, but looks like he's definitely ready to go.
Patrick's got a 90-footer.
Yeah, I would definitely be wanting Patrick to putt, get another look at the speed of the greens, a little extra time to get the read.
I think they might be asking for the green to get blown off.
Oh, got you. That could be why the wait.
Yeah, a lot of pine needles on this 13th green.
We at Wentworth, we used to get that at the end of the season world match play. Get a lot of pine needles, and you had to rake a path almost all the way up to the hole.
Well, there you go. You can see what was happening there if you look at the video on YouTube. But essentially, a lot of pine needles, as you can hear Sir Nick talking about, and not wanting to waste too much time by Cantlay getting them rid of him himself. He said, "Can you get someone in here with a blower to blow it off?" Because he thought that's going to be quicker. So this goes back. Like as when I was growing up playing golf, you couldn't touch your line, you couldn't do anything, you couldn't, you could pick loose impediments off, but you certainly couldn't grab your towel or your hat or anything and use it to brush the line down. But you can now. So you want to elaborate on that, Blakey?
Yeah. So with loose impediments, you obviously can move them anywhere on the golf course and with any means necessarily, but you're not able to unreasonably delay your play. So you couldn't bring in a massive fan and plug it in, and if that takes 10, 15 minutes to set up, and don't improve your conditions, so pressing down or especially on your line of play, if it's outside what we permit to be repaired, the damage that we permit to be repaired. And you also have to be careful around your ball. Obviously on the putting green, if you cause your ball to move and moving loose impediments, that's okay. But if it was on the fairway or rough or whatever, if you cause loose impediments to move, when you cause your ball to move when you move loose impediments, then you're going to get a one-shot penalty and need to replace your ball. Now, Patrick is probably one of the slowest players on the tour. The South African commentator, was that, I get this wrong, is that Trevor or Mark Immelman? Anyway, if it was Trevor, Trevor is certainly one of the slowest that was ever out there to play the game. So, you can hear him say, I'd be wanting another read and blah, blah, blah. So, whatever it takes. But to play a bit slower, but it's quite interesting because that group, I think I heard later on in the broadcast, that group was a little bit behind, a little bit out of position. And one of the tactics that some players can use is to try and get the referee or the committee involved to slow the group down even further and then just blame the committee or the referee. We had a ruling over there that was at least 3 minutes. I've heard players say that when it was about a 30-second ruling. Certainly, in Patrick's defence, there was a lot of male pine cones on the green, so there was a lot of loose impediment rubbish around. But Sergio went and moved it with his towel, whereas Patrick wasn't happy to do that. He wanted to get the committee in and someone to blow the green.
So when does it become not unduly delaying play?
Well, in that situation, the committee would allow the players to wait for the green, the maintenance staff to get in and blow the green, because they know that there's such a big mess. But if you're waiting for one male pine cone to be moved when you could easily go and move it yourself, then that would be an unreasonable delay in play. But if you go and see the video, there is a lot of debris on the green, on Patrick's line, certainly on Sergio's line, but he was happy to move it off the towel. But that's why the committee were happy to get the blower out. And, at Harbour Town, it probably happens quite a lot, since their fairways and greens and whatnot are very much shaped by trees.
Did you say male pine cone?
Yeah, I looked it up. It's the small ones are the male pine cones.
So there's a male and a female?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Learn something new every day, right here on Golf Rules Questions. Okay, we covered that off then?
Yeah, so you can ask the committee basically to get rid of the debris on the green, but
what would you suggest now for the everyday golfers if they have, some sand from sanding or some debris, that is vast, more than you can pick up with your fingers and shoo away? Back of the hand, using your towel is okay. Using your back of your hat, that sort of thing, that's all okay? Yeah,
using a towel is probably the easiest. Yep. Hat's probably fine. Back of the hand, front of the hand, whatever's easiest. But I'd just say live with it.
Right.
Make a stroke and live with it. You never know; it might pop in off one of them. So
yeah, I sometimes go with that theory on ball markers too. Do you want me to move it, mate? So it's got as much chance of hitting it and going in than it has hitting it and going out. So I'll roll a 50-50. Now, and just to sort of on that whole touching the moving stuff, like obviously you're allowed to repair damage to the green, spike marks now included, which never used to be. Divots always, plug marks, have always been able to be repaired, but now spike marks. Some of the players on the PGA Tour have sort of copped a bit of heat, by over effusively patting down spike marks that may have otherwise been construed as maybe creating a channel. Don't do that. Don't over effusively pat down spike marks. When you get towards a hole, just pat them down very softly, make sure they go away. But don't get over effusive, because you don't want to be someone thinking you're making a little impression that your ball's going to sort of catch a funnel type thing. So you've heard that. Don't do that. Good advice, Blakey, or not?
Great advice. Don't make a path either.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so who have we got next? We've got Colin Morikawa. Okay, so Colin's been in the sand playing some sandcastles. Let's have a listen to the one with Colin.
You see the practice swings. That is not a designated bunker there left of the screen.
Nope, that's considered the general area. You can practice swings, remove pretty much everything you want. Just don't make the golf ball go in a different place.
Yeah, some of them are hard to determine, isn't it? You've got to look for a rake most of the time.
They are, that's right.
Okay, this is one that I come up with, and not against, but have to imply in my weekly regular golf play down at Peninsula Kingswood, and many of the courses now that have sand or wastelands in their modern design. What was happening there with Colin Morikawa?
Yeah, Peninsula Kingswood has a lot of sandy wastelands, and when I move offices to Sandringham, they've got a few sandy wastelands, so you're not permitted to touch the sand in a bunker that your ball was in when practicing. In your backswing or immediately in front of or right behind where the ball's at rest. However, you are permitted to practice in another bunker, including touching the sand, provided you don't improve your conditions. And you're also permitted to practice in a sandy wasteland or sandy area that is in the general area of the course. So I left the commentators chat in there, and they were just talking about this being sandy wasteland, not a bunker. How do you determine whether it's a bunker or a sandy wasteland? It's as simple as what Frank Noblo said. Is there a rake there or not? Does it look like it's a prepared area of sand or not? It would be unlucky if you didn't see a rake and then someone had stolen it, but you'd treated that bunker as a sandy wasteland. But let's not get into that situation.
It's interesting at the moment, Peninsula Kingswood, because there's no rakes. Golf Australia is still saying in Victoria, have no rakes. We haven't had rakes, so a lot of guests when there are rakes, they still ask because, it's sometimes hard to differentiate between some of the larger bunkers and the wastelands. It just makes sense to ask, ask the member, ask someone that you're with, is this a wasteland or is it a bunker? It's pretty easy for me to be able to determine it and say, but when there's no rakes, you just have to, seek a bit of advice from someone who might be, a little bit more informed than you if you're not a member or you don't play at that course regularly. But interestingly, we've been playing preferred lies in the bunkers since the COVID time, so there's been no rakes. We've been able to lift in place, and that's been interesting. And also we were allowed to, up until very recently, lift in place in the sandy wastelands as well, because they weren't maintaining those to the level of diligence, but now they are. So they're back in play as in off the deck, and but the bunkers until your mob let us have flags out and rakes back in, it's still preferring in the bunker, which, was in place for Division 1 pennant final on the weekend.
Yeah, interesting. Not necessarily our mob. It's the Vic government that is
You blokes.
quite blind to the situation of the golfer in Victoria. And annoyingly enough, they haven't really made any further announcement on it. But towards that, I've played golf in the last 6 weeks at many regional courses, and bunkers are back, flag sticks can be touched, so they're just disregarding the information that's being provided to them by the government health department.
Yep. So there we go. Wastelands can touch the ground, making practice swings, can ground your club. Obviously, don't do a steam shovel coocher and dig a trench around it, but you can do that. You can even walk your buggy through that. Obviously you don't want to unduly make mess that's going to impede your fellow golfer. If you're going to walk a buggy through and it's going to leave big tracks there that he's going to get into, that sort of thing, you wouldn't want to do that. But if it's direct and you're going to get, and it's hard pan, you can do that.
Well, I did get a question from one of the YouTube listeners, or YouTube viewers. So if there's no rake, do they just leave it and then another player ends up in that footprint? I said, yeah, basically. You can see, if you go to the YouTube video and you see Collins, there's some overhead shots, either before Collins' ball's in there or after, and someone's tried to smooth out the area. The previous player or the caddy has tried to smooth out the area with their feet. But that's just unlucky. If you land in there where a previous player had been, then you get what you get.
Personally, I would, if I've made a mess in there by trying to just set my stance or whatever, or have taken a buggy or done something like that, I will try and just repair it to its at least better than when. It's never going to be as good as when I've probably got there if it's a good surface, but I'm going to try and leave it better than what I've made it. So, that's just part of the etiquette that I sort of run by. If I've left a few big divots there, I'll just try and smooth them out and just try and make it, if someone hopefully doesn't get in there, that's what I do. Blakey?
Yep, sounds good.
Okay, so the next one we've got 2 more to go, so stick with us. We're 37 minutes in, a couple more to go. One involving Australia's very own Mark Leishman. I think that was from the Zurich the other week, which they obviously went on to win. Congratulations to Cam Smith and Mark Leishman. Let me find that little video here, Blakey. It must be this one here. And so what do we got here? That was about his drop. So really down the stretch, it was like what was it? Remind me, 16th, 17th hole, thereabouts?
16th.
Yeah, so tournament on the line, and they've binned one in the water. So let's just see what happens.
Thank you. And they're just ascertaining exactly, Dottie, where that ball entered the penalty area.
Yeah, looking at the tape, it was across the red line near the sprinkler head, straight across. Craig?
One more look.
Yeah, Reddy, you can see the dark spot of that sprinkler head by the green, and it come kind of down diagonally down there. It crosses the line. So I think I saw a T-peg in there. I think they've found the spot.
And it makes a difference too, that extra, because it stays above the red line right there.
I thought that would be a low one and just let it feed all the way down.
Yeah, that's one where you almost kind of chip with the 9-iron so it doesn't get caught riding up the face of the wedge. Don't have to swing so hard either.
Yeah, a bit. Yeah. What's the new rules? Just once it crosses the line?
Well, they're doing all the right things here. 2 club lengths. They have that relief area. The way the rule is written now, the relief area is like a windscreen wiper. Drop it knee high. Two drops where the ball landed. Place it.
Well, we can't appreciate how steep that is. He goes to his nearest point, it will sit still.
That's closer, isn't it?
Okay, so you can see there that Mark marks his ball, marks the point where it entered, the point of entry. Then he marks out the 2 club lengths, and then he's struggling to get purchase, or place the ball because it dropped it twice. His caddy picks it up, save a golf ball. Not that he needs to save a golf ball, and then he goes to place it, and he's just sort of fiddling around with placing it in a place where it's not going to roll off. So, what else happened around that? Because there's a little bit of discussion around that, if I believe correct, Blakey.
Yeah, so a few people weren't happy with Mark's drop. They think that he dropped actually nearer the hole, and then he was playing around with his ball. To me, it looked like he got out the driver and was actually really trying to determine his relief area correctly. The caddy said, you probably got a little bit more, so he moved the T-peg up a little bit. Now, once he established the relief area, he told the caddy to go and stand in the penalty area and stop the ball when it rolled down. And he specifically said once it gets over across the line. So drops it, rolls, caddy grabs it, drops it, rolls, caddy grabs it when it's back in the penalty area because you've got to re-drop it. Now, if the caddy had dropped it before it got to the penalty area, because it was so likely that it was going to go in the penalty area, there wouldn't be a penalty for that. I mean, if there was a more likelihood that ball would have stayed in the relief area, then there could have been a penalty if the caddy grabbed it early. Then he's tried to place it, and he's placed it, and it's come to rest, and then he sort of mentions to the caddy, I think that's closer, and sort of the angle that he was positioned on and trying to put the ball, he thinks that it was closer than where it had actually first hit the ground on the redrop. Then he flicks himself around, and then he places it, and the ball looks to be still moving, so he grabs it again because he hasn't placed it at rest, and he's just fiddling around now trying to find the nearest point where it will come to rest from that spot where it had first hit the ground. So to me, it looked like he did everything right. If you see an overshot of where he ended up playing or dropping to his last point of entry, the point on the last edge cross and the flag, it does look like he is a little bit closer, but it is hard to see with the slope. But I'm happy with how he went about it. He could have called in a referee, but it's not his style, Mark's style, to call in a referee. He thinks he's done it properly. He has no issue with it. So good on him that he was able to get it done without getting a referee involved. And it's an estimate and best estimate of where the last point or the last edge crossed to the point on the last edge crossed is, and then it's estimate of not being nearer to the hole. The relief area itself, you can work out with the 2 club lengths. That's that's pretty accurate. But the being closer to the hole or not, that's an estimate. I mean, you cannot never be absolutely certain on that. And it doesn't look like Mark tried to flout the rules there.
Well, he had the support of the Ultimate Rules Committee on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, they didn't bring it up afterwards or say anything, so they were happy with it.
No, well, you know who the ultimate rules committee are. Dottie Pepper and Sir Nick Faldo.
Oh,
they're the ones that make the calls, Blakey, don't you? Come on. And they said it looks like he's doing everything. And Craig Perks, they said he's...
Whoa.
Wasn't it Craig Perks?
It was Frank Nobler.
Frank Nobler, sorry. I thought she said Craig.
Yeah, she said Craig. There's a great point, actually. She said Craig Winter, who is one of the highest rules gurus in the world, works for the USGA, and he was there doing the TV coverage with them. So they got Craig Winter in to just explain the whole process, and you can go and hear what he has to say on the YouTube video.
My mistake. I didn't clearly listen hard enough myself. That I confused Frank Nobler with Craig Perks.
I mean, I don't know if Golf New Zealand will be that happy with us if we keep saying that kind of stuff.
Has Frank Nobler been knighted yet? Is he Sir Frank Nobler yet?
He should be.
Should be. One of New Zealand's greatest ever golfers. And
although you'd probably give it to Michael Campbell first.
Yeah, well, he's an Open, a major winner. Cambo. What a player he was. Let's not go down talking about Cambo.
Good bloke, too.
You know Cambo?
I met him on the European Tour a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Funnily enough, my cousin was doing a little bit of work in his academy down there in the south of Spain. Yeah, in the south of Spain. My cousin lives in Gibraltar, and she was a reasonable golfer and involved in golf and golf administration. She was working alongside Cambo a long time ago now, but there you go. I've always had a soft spot for Cambo. I liked his style. But Frank Noblo, have you ever had a drop of Noblo wines?
No, I haven't.
Is he still dabbling in a bit of winemanship?
Oh, is that his? I thought it was some persons in Australia that had no connection with it.
I'm pretty sure that Frank Noblo was. I could be wrong. I should be the wine knowledgeable one out of us, with a father that's 48 years in the wine industry in Australia. But I think Frank Noblo sort of followed the Sharks' path. But no, it could be wrong. Anyway, let's move on. Back to probably New Zealand's real finest golfer of the moment, of the current genre.
Best golfer ever in New Zealand. Best
golfer ever from New Zealand. There we go. That's a bold claim, but I think it's fairly easy to substantiate. Lydia Ko. So Lydia Ko was involved in a little bit of a situation with Australia's very own Hannah Green. Unfortunately, Hannah Green did not go on to win the tournament at the Sentosa HSBC Women's World Championship last weekend. She could have, should have, probably should have, could have, would have, but didn't. But anyway, let's have a listen to what happened between Lids and Hannah.
Remember, Imbi is in trouble on 16. And that's the way to close the gap. The final hole, second shot in for the world number 7. She likes it. She's staring it down. She loves it.
Golf's a silly game, isn't it? Goodness me, what a way to finish.
You weren't watching me, Blake. I was celebrating for New Zealand's very own Lydia Ko. She's in oft. She's Freddie Charltoned it. She's snookered it in.
Yeah, so Hannah and Lydia had a very similar shot there on the 18th hole, and I've actually done a bit of a different format for the YouTube video. Put my own face in there, and you can listen to me while you're watching Lydia hit the shot. But basically, Lydia's ball was holed, but she hit her ball hit Hannah's ball that was at rest on the green. Now, Hannah needs to replace her ball. If she doesn't replace her ball, she gets a penalty under Rule 14.7 for playing from a wrong place. But this is where it gets a little bit grey. The belief is that she didn't replace her ball because she was never told that her ball had moved. And at Sentosa, I've been there once. As you can see from the footage, the green goes a little bit uphill. Bottom of the flagstick, which is where Hannah's ball was right beside, sort of the view is obstructed by the bunker. And so possibly Hannah never saw it and possibly was never told about it. So just played it from where the ball had come to rest. And because she played it from the wrong place but had no idea, effectively she hasn't played from the wrong place. And you sort of covered this, or we covered this a couple of weeks ago on the episode 38 when you play with Andy.
I still struggle to work out how she didn't know, or how she didn't get the message, hey, Hannah, your ball moved, you better put it a little bit over there. Did she disadvantage herself, or did knock the ball a bit further away?
No, I reckon I went from about 2 foot to about 2 foot.
Yeah, okay. But it obviously was in a different spot.
It was southwest. It was a southwest putt, and now it's a west putt.
Yeah.
So basically the same, and pretty much a tap in. But I'm like you, Roscoe. I'm blown away that no one thought to tell them. You need to put your ball back. If the reality was that someone did, and I've got this wrong, and someone did tell her and she put it back, then it's all good. But it's just an interesting situation if no one did tell her when, they got the corporate marquees around there, but possibly they don't listen to the podcast and they don't know the rule.
I can't believe that every golfer in the world isn't listening to our podcast with the whittering that goes on, the public service announcements, the IVAs, the background bingos. How could you not get involved? Anyway, so that's what happened. Interesting to see.
Tourism New Zealand.
Tourism New Zealand. Surely
Tourism Victoria.
Hey, we're just doing our piece here, Blakey. We are just doing our piece. The bubble's opened. We've gone straight into talking about the bubble opening and New Zealand. Country Victoria needs a lift. Everyone's copped a whack, so we're just trying to do our bit, mate. Tasmania, God's country down there, we're just trying to do our bit. So subscribe to the YouTube channel. This has been a bit of a YouTube channel promotional tour episode as well. But,
if you're in America or UK and you get down on a bit of COVID, struggling, well, you can come down here and stay in one of our hotels for 2 weeks, do the quarantine, and then you can get out of here and live life like you've got freedom.
If you are a golfer, sorry, go on.
New Zealand is voted or known as the most, or one of the top 5 best countries in the world for feeling like you're free, feeling like you've got freedom.
Interesting. I can see exactly why. Is that post-COVID, or is that before COVID, or is that just all-encompassing COVID, New Zealand life, in general over the last 20 years?
It was pre and probably will be post, and it's just encompassing New Zealand life and just, the government restrictions and everything. You can basically, as long as you abide by a few of the rules and be respectful and of your fellow man or fellow woman, then it feels like you're the most free in the world.
As I said, I can't wait to get back across there now. But I did have some commentary and some notes passed to me, messages passed to me on the weekend. I posted some photos of the Division 1 pennant final down at Peninsula Kingswood, and congratulations to the Metro team that won that over Royal Melbourne. Came down to the 19th hole of the last match. Who else was going to win it? Lucas Michel played at the Masters, played at the US Open last year, Master of Amateurs winner, actually gassed a little bit in the last couple of holes, lost the last 2 to go back to square, had to win up the 19th. They were 3.5 all. Lucas takes the match back up the first. Pressure scenario, young fella from the other team, hits a shank, hits it into the Magumbi, hits a second ball, hits a shank, finds his first ball, takes unplayable, knocks it to his first, second, third to 20 feet, and then Lucas rolls his up to about a foot, his second shot, and gets a birdie and gets the win. But back to the point I was making, I took some photos and we're all standing pretty close together, and we did actually, a couple of us chatting there, think, how lucky are we to be able to stand here so close watching this. And the comments that I got was going, geez, different world that you guys are living down there in Australia than what we're living up here in the States and the UK, which I'm very, very thankful for. What I was going to say before is gone away from me at the moment. I'll come back to it. I was going to make a very valid point. Mustn't be that valid if I can't remember it. You were talking about New Zealand? What else?
Yeah, New Zealand. Anyway, let's move on. You'll probably remember it. No Ivers reported to us from episode 38, but probably a ton come out of episode 39. Background bingo, Roscoe. Talking about pennant finals. Your background bingo for episode 38 was...
Did anyone get it?
I believe Andrew Miller got it.
Does anyone else play background bingo? Does the whole segment run for Andy Miller? It pretty much does. Yep. It was the view from the 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th green, looking back across the 13th green on the Peninsula Kingswood South course. A great par 3 and a great complex of wastelands and bunkers looking across those two holes and back across to the practice fairway. Wonderful part of the course. I love taking a photograph of it there. I love playing it.
And mine was... Andrew didn't quite get it, but then I gave him a hint and he got it. So mine was Norfolk Island, which is, I don't know how far, maybe a guess would be about 2,000 Ks off the coast of New South Wales.
If you draw a line directly off the coast of Port Macquarie, random fact that I happen to know, and I think it's about 2 hours in a plane or thereabouts, or in a small plane, you can get to Norfolk Island.
Oh, so it might only be about 300 Ks then.
I think it was about an hour flight. I can't remember.
How fast does a plane fly, a small plane fly?
Well, I don't know, but you will remember.
150 Ks an hour? Well, there is a golf course on that small island.
Which was on your background bingo. And so this week's background bingo, very hard to deduce where yours is. I'm going to tip it's from your recent travels.
Yeah, recent travels. So if you've been listening to the podcast and you're still listening to the background bingo, recent travels, have a guess.
Okay, and mine? You got any hints there, Blakey?
Oh, it's really hard to see when I'm looking on.
Well, it's near some water. It's obviously on a little bit of a peninsula. I'm giving some hints here. It's from not recent travels, but from travels maybe 2017, 18.
I would say it's somewhere in Great Britain, isn't it?
Nope, it's not in Great Britain. It's in Ireland. It's Ireland. So it's in Ireland and it's on a peninsula sticking out into that body of water. So there you go. You might be able to zoom in on that little stone there, the T marker there. I think it might be a tee off on a par 3. No, maybe a par 4 coming back the way.
Have a go.
I think Nick Faldo had some interest in this course at some stage, and maybe buying it. I think he wanted to buy it. Talking about soon.
The golf rules question of the week 39.
Okay, is this a long one? I'm reading the run sheet here. Okay,
it is a long one. We missed out on. I know this is episode 39, but we had a break last week, so I thought I'd put in a bit of a difficult one for you to read.
Okay, well, I'll give it my best shot. Here we go. A group of 4 players having a good day until they get to the par 5 7th hole. From the tee, player A and player B slice their balls into the right rough. Player C and player D hit okay down the middle of the fairway. The second shot, player B arrives in the right rough and plays a ball which he hits somewhat across the fairway to the rough on the left-hand side. Player A arrives and plays a ball from near where player B played his shot and hits down the right side of the fairway. Player C hits the second shot into the rough on the left-hand side of the fairway, similar place to where player B just hit his shot to. Player D hits his shot down the middle again. Third shot. Player B arrives in the left rough and hits a ball to the green. Player C, from a similar place in the left rough, hits a ball to the green. Player A arrives at his ball to play his third shot and announces, "I've hit the wrong ball!" At the green, when they hear player A, I was doing so well too. At the green, when they hear player A call about hitting the wrong ball, "I've hit the wrong ball," player B and player C proceed to the green, then mark and examine the balls they had played. Both player B and player C announce, "We've hit the wrong ball too." Wow. Don't ask me to read that one again, Blake. I usually give it a rerun, but if you get the answer to that, not only are you a very astute rules person, you're more savant-like than anyone that I know, because that's a good one. That is a real doozy. You might have to type that out, Blakey, and put that in some sort of form where people can read it and go to work. And, you know, if you get it right, you'll get a high distinction in golf rulesology.
Well, it'll be in the show notes and probably in the YouTube description as well. So they'll be able to read it. But I didn't mind the way that you spoke it out. It was quite good.
Well, thanks for your approval.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
I know that's why you're here.
Very good. Well, is that us? Are we done?
Yeah. No, that's everything's going well. I'm not sure when we'll get the next episode in. I'm heading to the farm next week, so I'll be up there for 3 weeks. Not milking cows, but feeding out hay and doing those kind of things. So we'll try and get something after I come back, I think. They do have the internet up there, but I'm just not sure how good it is. Maybe I can just do audio and put a face on the. I mean, you know, audio for the podcast is good. It just doesn't look so good without the video on the YouTube.
I'm sure if there's a way you want to work it out, Blakey, you will. But what I do know is when you're on the farm, that means there's beasts of the bovine or the sheep variety, and that probably means a rerun of the cowpat rules videos. So, you know, expect that you're going to make some of that sort of stuff again.
Yeah, they won't be Henry Peters under the card quality, but they'll be nuts and bolts, bones of the rulings, bones of the rules of golf.
I think on that note, we'll leave it there. Go on, check out the merchandise, the hats, the T-shirts. You can get all of that. Give Blakey a leg up here. Give the Golf Rules Questions a leg up and buy a T-shirt you can represent out there in Golfland. All right, until next time on the Golf Rules Questions podcast, we look forward to listening in again and tuning in again and seeing you. Thank you wherever you choose to join us. See you again.
Bye.